what's going on, everybody? This is Future Automation, a place where imagination meets reality, and you're listening to Tejas. So, guys, as already you have seen the title, in this video, what we'll be doing is we'll be learning how to create webhooks in GitHub and use them with Python to perform some actions when there is a push done from someone's end in the GitHub repository. So, with a cup of coffee, let's get started. So, guys, in this video, we will be basically trying to divide the whole project into some smaller sections. Like the first thing we'll be doing is we'll be trying to understand what we need and what all things we need to do to make all the webhook project get ready. Second thing what we'll be doing is we'll be writing down the code, and third we'll be trying to understand how that thing is working. Okay, so for the prerequisites, what we need is first we need Python. So those who have not installed Python, they can just go and install Python. So just go to Python org and you can download Python here. So yeah, you can download Python here, and yeah, that's it. And next to that, what you need to do is you need to download ngrok. So why we need this, I'll tell you in a minute. But make sure you check out all the links that I have added in the description so that you are ready with all the downloads. So you need to download the ngrok, and then what we need is we need fast API Python library, which you can use for a lightweight web server in Python and design some API calls. So for that, we need fast API. To download fast API, what we need to do is we need to just use pip install and run it. So if you'll so we are not just going to do pip install fast API, rather we are going to do pip install fast API all. With this, what it will do is it will download fast API, Pydantic, and the UV core server that we are going to use as a lightweight server to host all the fast API code so that we can access it. So if you will install the fast API, for me it will say that our requirements are already satisfied because I have already downloaded fast API. Now, next to that, you need a code editor, of course, and a GitHub repository that you need to add a webhook to. So to do that, what we need to do now is in any repo in GitHub that you are having, you just go to that repository, and in that repository, let me just get down, and I hope you are able to see. Let me just zoom in a bit. Okay, now, so in this repository, what we need to do is go to settings. In settings, we have a section called webhooks. In this, we can click on add a webhook. Now, when you will click on add a webhook, what it will do is it will ask you for a payload URL. So basically, in which for which URL it needs to request when a push action is done from someone's end to this repository. Next is how the content type should be sent to that URL. So we'll be selecting application JSON. Now for security purpose, it has already added a section called secret. So in this, you can add a secret key and use that to validate in your code to make sure that, okay, the guy who is doing this or the repository push event which is happening is also being which is also is to be addressed by the code which is from the right person. So the right person will have this secret key, and you have either push to event, then send me everything, and then we have select from individual here. So if you want branch or tag creation, if you have branch protection rules, if you have branch or tag deletion, and many more things. So based on each and every event that you have in Git, you can create a webhook request. So that's it. And once you click on add here, the whole webhook will be created. Now, I will not create one because I already have a webhook here. So if we'll go here, I'll explain you in a minute what all things we need to add. Now, next to that, what we need to do is we need to, so with this, all the prerequisites of this project are done. We needed a GitHub repository webhook that we have created. We have downloaded ngrok, we have downloaded Python, we have downloaded fast API. Now we need what is a git bash as well. I forgot to mention that. You need to download git to push the new code or the modified code from your local repository to the actual repository. So for that, you need to download git and make sure you have the git bash as well with it, so that it will help you to. So here is git bash. I have already opened it in the repository that I have already cloned, but we are going to do it one more time. So let's do it now. I have already opened the Visual Studio Code here to the folder where we are going to create a new code for the for monitoring the webhooks or for getting the webhook request, as well as we are going to clone the repository in this section. So let's do it. So let's go to the repo, edit here, and then git clone. And okay, so it is cloning the repository. Now we have the repository here. So yeah, now so even if you are not using git bash here and directly doing this from here, that is also fine, not an issue. Yeah, so what you need to do is you need to open an integrated terminal for this in this particular folder, and then you will get all the updates of what exactly the git is. So let's go back to the actual folder. Okay, so now here what we are going to do is we are going to create a new file, Python. So new file will be main.py. Now those who are new to fast API again, they have a really awesome documentation that they have provided of what all things we are going to do. Here, the motto is to make you understand how we are going to use Python to monitor the GitHub events so that we can perform some action when we get a push event. Now, this is like a foundation to the further project or further video that I'm going to create, which will be working with, say, for example, now if you want to do over the air updates in different HIoT devices, then you can use the same concept in that say Raspberry Pi or Jetson Nano or anything, and you can you can remove and like get the latest Docker images and then run them in your edge device, so that will get it the updated code that whatever you have pushed into the GitHub. So it's kind of a CI/CD, but in a simplest possible way, and with like that, it's not that powerful. But if you want to do anything, like if you want to do anything on your own from scratch, this is what you do. So let's start with the code now. So from we are going to import all the packages, classes, and all. So fast API, HTTP exception, and yeah, that's it. So that's all we need. Then we create a app instance, and then we write a entry point. So we are going to get a post request here. So app dot post, and then you can here write the route of URL. So if you go plain, then it goes plain. If you want to go with a route, say for example, for me it will be webhook, then it will look for a webhook. Now we define a function that check payload, and then what we are going to get is kind of a JSON. So that's a dictionary in Python. So let's go with the payload, which will be a dictionary. And then what we'll do is, so if we have a, so now here there is the dictionary is the JSON that we are getting is really huge. So just for understanding, what we are going to do is, and I'll show you the JSON as well that is coming in for us. From that, I have just got one word which we are checking. So check if there is an after word here. So we have the before and after IDs in the JSON to show what there are some changes that has happened in the GitHub repo, and we'll return here something, say for example a message, like message, and then there was a push event in push event. Let's do it that way. Yeah, so I think this is wrong. We should have written again a typo. Yeah, then or else else return, we have another message which is message, and then we have, say, this was a invalid, this was a invalid event. Yep, so that's it, guys. You can also raise an HTTP exception here. For that, we have used this. So if you want an example, say for example, a raise HTTP exception, and then we can write, say, status code equals to 400 and the details. So let me just pull in here a little bit. Yeah, so details should be like no payload, and then you can just, and yeah, guys, that's it. So we'll make one more test here. Say test at app.get. We'll create a test route, test, and we'll create a function def test function, which will have nothing in it, just will return a message message hello world. Yeah, so that's it, guys. This is what the code is. And so next what we need to do is, so once you'll download the ngrok, so first I'll explain you what these things are. So in fast API, as most of the people who have already worked in API creations, they already know that we have different routes, and then we have different methods like get, post, delete, and many more. So we use few specifics like the post, get, and delete. I think from that, post and get are what usually used. Post, and so for us, we'll have a payload in the response that is coming from git, which is a post request. That's why we are defining here a post route, and the one we are going to test is simple get request, which will just return something when we are going to access that API. Now if we'll try to run this, it's quite simple to run, so let's do it. So what you need to do is you need to type uvcon main.app, and then we need to put it as a host 0.0.0.0. The reason being is that we want it to be accessible through all the devices which are in the same network for that. And then we are going to host it to the port 8000, and then we are going to add it reload. Now the reason why we gave the file as name main is because of this. So main, it will look for actually the file with name main, and in that it will execute this app. Now, if you want to add a different name, you can just change this and add a different name. That's it. So you can see here the file is basically running. So let's go ahead and check whether we can access it or not. So local host colon 8000 slash test. You can see here that we have already received a get request here, and it says 2200. Okay, so that means we the request was successful, and you can see here the message that we have added here, which is hello world. Let me zoom in a bit so I can see here. If we'll go for raw data, you can see the JSON that it has received. So basically, this is what the simple execution of the code looks like. Now, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and do the same with the GitHub. Now, in the starting part of the video, I tried to explain you that we need ngrok, and why we need ngrok is because this particular code which I'm running is running in my local network, and the GitHub is in outside world. So it has no access to this particular API if we are trying to do it. So it will not be able to access this root here or this particular server because of the security that we are having. So it will block. The outside world is blocked for this particular server. So now what we need to do is we need to download ngrok here, and we need to create an account. So you guys might need to create an account in this, and once you create an account, you'll get an authentication, this what you can say, authentication token that you need to use to configure and to in your local. So to use the authentication token, what you need to do is you need to write a command. Let me show you that quickly here. Although we cannot do it here, we need to do it in the ngrok uh, ngrok window, which will open once you'll open the exe file. So let me show you that as well. Maybe we can do it there itself, there only. So if I'll open ngrok window, you can see here the ngrok window has opened, and here what you need to do is once you sign up, you'll get that authentication token in that page, and you just need to do is ngrok config add auth token, and then the authentication token that you have received, something like this. So once you do that, it will add that token to this local ngrok that you have downloaded, and then what all you need to do is ngrok http and the port that you have exposed this particular server. When you press enter, it will give you uh, a link that you can copy. Maybe you can click and then it will open it. So now if here I'll put test, no, test only, sorry, yeah, test, we should be able to access hello world. That's it. So basically what ngrok tries to do is connect the local network with the outside world. And now you need to go to GitHub again. Let's minimize this. And now in GitHub we go to settings. Here let's just maximize this a little bit, and we are done with ngrok. So I'll close this and I'll save this. And in webhooks, if you go in the edit section here, you can see that I have already added an old URL. I'll add the new one and I'll add a webhook here, because the main route that we need to access for the let the webhook access is this route, that is the webhook that I have created. So I'm just copy pasting it just to be sure. And then again, content type is application JSON. We don't need any secret key. This is just for learning project. But if you're doing it in a real time for some, like some professional projects or something that you're creating as a product, you should make sure that you use this secret key to make sure that it is secure enough to work with your project you're making it. And now we have successfully created a webhook, added the new URL. Now it's time to modify the repository, local repository files, and push them in the GitHub. Now I'm modifying an index.html file. So hello world again. If I'll save it, it'll show us that okay, there is one file which is modified and we need to commit it, but we are going to do it with the CLI and not with the UI, because that's really great practice. And if I'll just clear it, okay, git status, spell again typo, status, status. So you can see here that we have one file which is modified and we need to add it to push. So git add, and then index.html. And now if you check the git status again, you can see here that okay, it has been added and the color is now green. Now what we need to do is git commit, and let me just okay, we need this as well. So I think it's better to open this one different, because we need to also see here that okay, we are getting the request. So let's open PowerShell, not here. Okay, I'll just get to that folder. Okay, this is basically the folder that we have the repository clones of PowerShell. Well, hopefully we'll be able to access. Okay, so git status again, and one file is ready to get committed. So git commit, and then we have an option called M to add a message. So modified the index.html to test the push event. And now the file is committed. Now we need to push it. So git push. Now before hitting the push button, I need you to pay attention to this section. So here we'll get the update about the request that we have received from the GitHub, and it will say 200 okay in that sense. Hopefully, let's do it. So git push, and the file is pushed, and we have received a 200 okay. So what it is doing is this particular thing is creating a server, and GitHub is accessing this API every time there is a push event, and that is what it has done. Now you can see here that we have also got the last recent deliveries option here, where you can check what exactly we have pushed. So if I'll maximize this, and if we'll go here, you can see here what response we are getting from GitHub. So this is basically the JSON, that payload that it is sending, and we are looking for this after keyword, as I was explaining. You can do it more specific if we'll dive deep in, but for me it was just to give you a glimpse of what we can do with webhooks, and how we are going to create a foundation for the next project video that we are going to use, which is related to how we can update the edge devices over the air without manually accessing all the different edge devices. So that we are going to do by connecting two different RPIs, and then we are going to update them every time when there is a push event in the GitHub. So stay tuned for that video as well, and I'm pretty sure that everyone will be excited for that. So I'm working on it, and probably in coming 2-3 days it will be done, and we'll be good to go for the new video. So this is basically the JSON that we are getting, and these are the headers. So based on the headers also, you can look for a GitHub event with the push value, and if there is a push, then you just go ahead and execute something. But this particular access is done, or this particular intimation is done only for the push events. So this is a specific. If you are doing this for all the events, so if you'll see in GitHub, you have an option here in webhooks that is send me everything. So send me everything in the sense every action you'll get all the intimations, and based on that in particular action that is being performed, you need to decide what you need to do. So yeah, that's what it is. And now if I'll minimize this and we'll minimize this, and yes, that's it, guys. That's the code that we have used, and you can use the same code and perform different actions here. Say, for example, if you are having a local server, if you are having a server in your home which has some codes running, and the codes are being cloned from the GitHub only, and when anytime that you want to update the code from there, it will automatically take care using such kind of codes. So that's it, guys. All the commands and all the links that I have used will be in the description. So make sure you check that out. And also, I have recently shown how to install Docker in 𝗓𝗫. So that will be also a useful video for the coming up video. So make sure you check that as well, which is in the description again. And all the cheat sheets that I have created for installing Docker in 𝗓𝗫, that is also added in the description. So that is basically a GitHub repo that I have created. In that, this code that we have just cloned and the cheat sheet that I have created to install Docker in 𝗓𝗫 is added. So make sure to check that out as well, and stay tuned for the next video. Hope you like it, and if you like it, do share the video, do subscribe to my channel if you are new, and do like it if you are already a subscriber. Make sure to share the video with all the people who are working on such kind of stuff, and keep innovating, guys. Take care. Thank you.